Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Going to 5,000 subscribers by September 7th, Texas LSU. I'm going to take a drink right now. I know many of you probably have popped a cold one, maybe got some hard liquor, whatever. It's a weeknight, work night, what have you. It's been a stressful few days for us UT fans. Yesterday, we went through the brew stuff, and today we're talking Zachary Evans out of North Shore, Houston. And before I even get started with all that, let's just take a collective sip together. I had to go to the hard stuff. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I got my Tito's here, and this drink is gonna reflect the video, which is this is no chaser right now. All right. So let's sort through this. Zach Evans comes out with his top five today. Thought we had a great shot. We didn't even crack it. Funny because there were no Texas teams that cracked it, but I think the collective list was Ohio State, Oklahoma, Alabama, LSU, and the Georgia Bulldogs. So, great list for that young man from a running back perspective. All great schools, all schools outside of, I believe, LSU that have been in the college football playoffs, and schools that are, but from LSU's sake, they're right now, according to Rivals, number 2 in the recruiting class rankings. So he would have the possibility of joining a great class there and still being close to home. But, Texas didn't make it. Some of you that listen that are Aggies fans, Texas A&M didn't crack it. So no Texas schools in his top 5. But I thought with all the momentum we had coming out of the 2019 class, coming out of a 10-win season, we would be in contention for those top-tier players in the state. We would be in contention for one of the top players in the country, period, with our program being on the upswing. But apparently that was not enough for Mr. Evans. And look, I respect any young man's decision, but there was a quote that got posted, and I cannot confirm that was Zach Evans that said quote. Many of you have shared it with me on Twitter or on Instagram, but he talked about a little bit why he did not pick Texas. And he said something, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said something along the lines of, yes, Texas beat Georgia, but they didn't beat them by that much, and they're not all the way there yet with the schools that are on my list. And so, you know what? I can respect to the degree of the success level of those schools, although we did beat Oklahoma and Georgia last year. But, I do have to question the brothers' football IQ a little bit. When you sit up here and say that the game with Georgia wasn't close, if that's what he said, again, some people can be salty and just post some of this stuff. So I don't know if that came out the young man's mouth, but obviously anybody that watched the Sugar Bowl, we pretty much dominated. The score was not indicative of what occurred on the field physically, as well as the score for most of the game. So, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Why are we missing out on some of these in-state guys, and where do we fall? What's our solution to this? Because right now, from what I've heard, he could potentially be an Oklahoma lean. And, they already have Jace McCullough out of the FW area, who's another 5-star running back going to Oklahoma. So they could become tag team partners over there, which would be scary for us and the rest of the Big 12. These are things that are great concerns to us Texas fans. So first, before I get into the remedy and how we, get past this and how we get through this, because there's a lot of drama right now, even with the brew stuff, we have to diagnose what the issue is, right? Bottom line is we haven't won enough over the last few years. And yes, Tom Herman is, with him being re-upped, y'all go check that video out if you haven't seen it yet, where I reacted to the 2-year extension he received. Well-deserved in my opinion. But we're not all the way back yet. We're on the rise, but when you look at Oklahoma winning 4 straight Big 12 titles, that is the reality of the situation. When you look at, they've been the representatives for the most part in the Big 12 in the playoffs, even though they haven't won there. The back-to-back Heisman trophies, the prolific offenses they've put up, and the guys that are first-round picks that they're sending to the league, you can't. That's the kryptonite for us when it comes to recruiting. Bottom line, and we have to be self-aware as a Texas fan base of what we're up against. Because we have one of the stout enemies of any team, any other big program that has to deal with right now, unless you're up over in the southeast region dealing with Clemson, because Clemson's just destroying recruiting right now. I think they have like five stars already committed to them. So how do we combat that? You got to win. You got to win with Sam Ellinger. You got to win with what you have. The guys that came back, the Brandon Joneses, the Colin Johnsons of the world. You have to win. And when I say win, 10 wins now, is that even enough to compete for these guys year in, year out? You have to show that you're back at this level. You gotta win the Big 12. You got to make the playoffs. And I know we keep talking about it, and it's something we're all trying to speak into existence. But it has to happen, or else we're going to keep coming in on the short end of the stick, because Oklahoma wasn't even hitting like that from a recruiting standpoint, and they've still been sending all these people to the league. And go back and look at previous rankings. We've been beating Oklahoma, and I'm talking about Oklahoma in particular. I know there's 5 teams on the list, but with them potentially being the favorites here, starting there, we've been, ranked ahead, I think 4 out of the last 5 years in the Big 12 with Oklahoma. And the one year I think we were behind them, I believe, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, was 2017, when that was the transition class for Tom Herman. So, they've proven, even with not getting all the five super 5-star guys, that they're churning all these people into the league and getting them numbers and getting them recognition and getting them paid. We got to do the same thing for our guys that are currently here. So that's number one. We got to win. No losses. No, we can't drop. Because if you're Oklahoma or Georgia or whoever, Georgia, we can say we beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, and they can throw out whatever excuse they want. But if you're recruiting against them, it's like, these dudes lost to Maryland 2 years in a row. Are they really all the way back? And that's something that Tom Herman and this staff have to shake off, and that's something he's had to get past since Houston, is dropping those games that they shouldn't drop. Because I think that is something that is playing into the perception with some of these players, and that's some of the things that's held us back from winning from winning our conference and really being all the way back in terms of national perception. And we can't just throw out the Vince Young days anymore and just say we're Texas, when other schools, the proof is in the pudding with the Georgias and the Alabamas of what they're sending to the league. And then our top guy this past year is a 5th-round pick. We haven't had a 1st-round pick since Malcolm Brown, that's what these kids are looking for. Bottom line. Now, I also want guys that want to be here. I want to continue the growth. I think we've gotten guys now that have initiated the turnaround of this program, but now we need the guys to finish and be, hey, I want to come back to Texas and be one of the guys that did it at home and got drafted and got paid and led the way for some of the other young guys, right? So all that is, and this isn't sky is falling, because we've had, to me, 2 back-to-back really good classes, 2018, 2019, and that we have a lot of talent in a lot of the rooms and a lot of position groups. So and look, even though we're ranked, I believe, 29th right now in terms of the team rankings, we are in contention for a couple guys, and this is going to kind of lead me to the remedy of this situation. From a running back perspective, Bijan Robinson out of Arizona. Now, I know you guys are going to complain about, another out-of-state guy. But, look, it is what it is, and we have to salvage this class right now. And I know it's crazy to hear that in May, but with early signing period, we are behind the 8 ball with a lot of these guys. And, yes, we went all in on Zachary Evans and came up short. There's some other guys that are leaning the other way. Bijan Robinson right now, I believe, is Ohio State lean. But he is, one of the higher rated running backs and a big guy, 6'1", 205, almost 215, and he looks big. But that's a guy that, we have to bring in. Now, how's that going to help us? Early in the season, we also have to show at our running back room that we're running the football well, bottom line. Because, with what we've had in our run game, it's been good, but not super impressive compared to the other people on the list. Look what Alabama did with Josh Jacobs, Damian Harrison, and those guys to the league. Najee Harris they have coming back, and they're just platooning guys. Georgia with the Swifts and the Holyfields and what they had going on over there. And we can go up and down the list. LSU, yeah, they were down a little bit at running back last year, but the legacy they've had in that at that position over the last 5-6 years has been very, very impressive. So we have to start grading ourselves against the people that we are recruiting and competing against for these high level kids. Said before, we're 29th in the recruiting rankings. Now we are in contention for some high level defensive guys. Keely Ringo, Savell Smalls, Justin Flo. I believe all those guys are out-of-state guys, and that's again, we can debate on that all day long. But those are the top-tier guys that we're in the market for right now. I wouldn't say we have a lean on really any of them right now, but things can change. Got to beat LSU. Got to win. Got to start off hot and try to build that momentum. As this isn't we're just not a one and done. This is truly a rising tide happening in Austin, Texas. So that's part of the remedy. The other remedy is continuing to recruit the trenches well. We do have 3 offensive linemen committed. I thought we closed strong in our 2019 class with the offensive line, and that has because if we're able to build up the trenches, then we can kind of take a little bit of that hit in the backfield when we're talking about the running back position. Hopefully. Jordan's able to pick it up and be, we're going to need him at running back now. I know with Brew leaving, there's potential that he could move. I'm talking about Jordan Whittington, by the way. He can move back to wide receiver, but I think right now we're going to need him to, kind of accelerate his progress and his development at the running back position. It's even more important. So, and the other thing is, I will say this, evaluations. Just because you miss out on some of the top 5, top-tier guys. Josh Jacobs, who was the first running back drafted in the NFL draft this year and a first-round pick, was a 3-star recruit out of high school. So we have to hit on our evaluations. There's always going to be guys, and I'm telling you, every year this happens, that either didn't get the opportunity, didn't start, grades were issued, whatever, or kid grows 5 inches in the offseason, all of a sudden he's a beast, or a light comes on, whatever it is. There's going to be these guys that come on early in their senior year, and we have to be on top of those things, in-state and out-of-state, because right now we are behind the 8-ball, and I've said, and Tran has said this as well, and we've been consistent. Zachary Evans was a must-get, in my opinion, to really flex our muscle and show where we are in this state, and we missed. Bottom line. But the remedy is with the offensive line, with hitting on our evaluations. We got to hit on those Duncanville kids in DFW, Jaquindon Jackson, and the other brother that plays safety. And we've got to clean up, over the next 6 months to salvage this group and to salvage this class. I'm not ready to call for heads on the staff in terms of the position coaches. I know I've seen that on social media today, and I think that is a bit premature. Although it is something to keep an eye of from a standpoint of our strategy within the state of Texas. So, I'm gonna take another sip here. I know y'all are down, but I'm gonna end on a positive note. Do y'all believe in Tom Herman? Because I do, and I think this is a moment where we have to exercise faith. Right now, we're going through some adversity. The Brew McCoy situation, it's not a good look for us. The Zachary Evans situation, not even cracking the top 5, not a good look for us. But do I trust his evaluations? Yes. Do I trust that he can get our guys coached up? The guys that are currently on this roster that we really need to worry about? And think about all the guys we've had over the last couple of years who weren't as highly touted, that have turned into very productive players, a part of this team that are responsible for turning this ship around. I trust that. So at this point, it can't just be complete skies falling. Am I bummed that I miss out on a player that I fell in love with through this recruiting process? Hell yes. But it is not the end of the road. And you know what? When he says that dumb stuff about, Georgia, the Georgia game and us barely beating them or whatever, that should be motivation for the guys that are currently on this roster, the guys that started summer workouts today. Bottom line, if I'm a current Texas player, I'm ticked off. If I'm a Texas X, I'm ticked off. It's time. We're back. They have to have that mentality already. We're not only are we back, but we're going to win the Big 12. And we're going to have to pull what Oklahoma pulled a few years ago where, hey, some of us may not be the most highly touted guys, but we're going to be the best guys in the conference. We're going to win the conference. Doesn't matter what we were ranked coming in. So we got to fix that. And it starts with the guys in the weight room that are going to be there tomorrow morning at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., working their asses off. They've got to be the ones to turn this thing around and help drive that momentum into the recruiting cycle. These coaches are going to have to figure out a way to combat, all the years of being down and that the leg up that the current competition has on you. Because you don't look good as Oklahoma coming into the room. You know that. So you got to figure out a way around it until the wins stack up and you start to beat them. Okay? Because right now, realistically, yeah, if you beat LSU, is it going to make a dent in the 2020 class? Maybe, maybe not. But it will for 2021. It will for 2022. They'll see that. Because a lot of these kids are not, Zachary Evans is not just looking at Texas beating Georgia. He's looking at Georgia being in the national championship the year before. He's like, this is a consistent program. They're consistently in the SEC championship game. Versus, was that a fluke season for Texas or are they really back? There's a question mark there. We got to eliminate that question mark. Eliminate the doubt. And that comes from the players on the staff or players currently on this roster and turning that around and gaining that momentum. These coaches need to put it upon themselves. They got to figure out how to get these guys drafted. Because I'm telling you, that is a conversation going on in these living rooms when these kids are getting visited. If you don't think it is, you're being naive. Bottom line. So, like I said, there's no chaser here tonight. All right? And some people in Austin got to take a look in the mirror. Some of you fans got to take a look in the mirror. All right? I'm not giving up. It sucks. We assess the mistake. It hurts. It's supposed to hurt if you care. But we go back and look at it, and we've got find guys, A, that want to be here, B, that want to develop, and C, that want to be NFL players and that can develop them and carry this program to where it should be. We should be on that list with Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State and Oklahoma and LSU. We have every bit of resources that they do. But we got to get our resume back to where they are at. And that starts on September 7th. Bottom line, it starts on September 7th. And it may, like I said before, it may not make a dent in 2020, but it damn sure will make a dent 2021 and beyond. It's got to. And it's got to matter for those guys in the weight room right now. All right? So let's band together. I'll take one more sip. We'll support our guys. And let's get after it. All right? It's not over. It's not over by a long stretch. I'm excited. I'm still excited for this season. Zachary Evans is going to have a fantastic college career. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to be for Texas. But I'll be damned if we don't find somebody else to carry that rock on the 40 acres. All right? Y'all, please chime in. Love you guys. Love the conversation we've had over the last few days. Sorry this video went a little bit longer than I expected, but just wanted to share my thoughts on the current situation and can't wait to converse with you guys in the comments on social media. Make sure you're following on every social media platform we have. We'll have those links in the description. Hook 'em, horns always up. Love y'all.